welcome back. Before we get started, I would like to go over what we discussed the last session. You mentioned that you are here because your family is concerned, but you aren't sure counseling would help. You are willing to try because what you have been doing is no longer working, and you feel out of control, overwhelmed, and miserable. Does it sound about right? Okay. All right. Well, it seems like we've identified several things in the first session to pursue. First, you are tired of feeling depressed, but you are unsure if counseling will help. Your husband thinks you have changed. However, you think maybe he just doesn't understand you anymore. You have been trying to cope with your depression by sleeping and drinking alcohol, but this is not working for you. We discussed you attending the Women's Empowerment Group as well as a relapse and recovery group at the local mental health center. This is something that we can do right away. I can complete the referral forms for each group. How does it sound? Okay. So, what would you like to talk about today? So, you feel guilty because you are unable to do the things you feel you should do. Also, you feel like your children are disappointed in you. You are managing on the job, but still feel overwhelmed. It seems like your job is causing you a great deal of stress. You want to be the same person you used to be, however, you don't feel like you can anymore. It seems like you're longing to be the same person, but at the same time, you feel hopeless. Does that sound about right? Okay. Okay. So there's a dependence on sleep and alcohol to manage your stress. You can handle your problems despite having some issues in your life. Okay. 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 You seem a little more confident in yourself as well as hopeful. Uh, compared to the last session we had. Okay. All right. Before we move on, let's summarize where we've been so far in this session. First, you feel guilty for not attending your children's activities. Secondly, you are managing on the job but still feel overwhelmed. In fact, your job is causing you a great deal of stress. You also talked about longing to be the same person you were, but at the same time feeling hopeless. You feel like you can handle your problems despite having some issues in your life. However, you express concern due to depending on sleep and alcohol to manage your stress. Does it sound about right? Okay. Alright, so let's recap what we talked about so far. On one hand, you want to be the same person you used to be, but at the same time, you feel hopeless. However, you feel somewhat hopeful or confident things will get better because you are able to handle difficult problems despite having issues. Although you sleep and drink alcohol to cope with depression, you end up feeling worse. With this in mind, we discussed you attended the motivational interviewing group for 6 sessions at the local community services board. This is something you can do right away. I will complete the counseling therapy form as well as other documentation. How does it sound?